That's the trick. Is like, and how was it? You have to find it. It's not just magic. You can't just press the feeling button.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. Mr. Paul Gilbert, thank you so much for your time today. I don't have the opportunity to talk to a bona fide God every day, so I feel very, very happy and very grateful today. These are exciting times. I mean, it wouldn't be a year if there wasn't a new Paul Gilbert album, and we have the Dio album coming our way, which is very, very exciting stuff. Let's just go straight into it. You are recording, or you have recorded, an album where you, to a T, play the original songs by different bands that feature Dio, but then you've laid over that your solo guitar taking over vocal duties, if you will. So, I mean, we all know that you're one of the greatest guitar players of all time, but still a little daunting to just go like, yeah, you know, Vivian Campbell, Iommi, Blackmore, and let's do some additional crazy Ronnie James Dio lines as well. Let's do that. It doesn't sound too hard. Daunting task?
Well, it's more like the most amazing buffet, and to me, I wanted to learn.
Yeah,
and to gain some of the soul that Ronnie puts into his melodies, and I've been doing that for a lot of vocalists, just for my own improvement as a musician and improvement as a guitar player. But I made a list, and I just put it as it came to me, and Ronnie was number one on the list. And I thought, not only is it going to be fun to play his vocal lines, but I love those. I grew up with this stuff, so it's a language that I learned to speak as a teenager, but that I always want to learn to speak a little better, and always become a little more fluent with.
How do you go about then selecting which songs that you wanted to play? I mean, we've got some of the classics definitely on the album. There's a couple of, deeper cuts as well. We know you as a bit of and I use this in a positive way, quirky musician at times. There are some quirkier Dio songs as well, if you look for them. What was that process like to determine which song were you going to respectfully tackle?
Well, it was just fun. To make that set list and to kind of go, oh man, this is really going to be fun to do these. And in a way, it was hard to pare it down. But I thought, well, if I divide it into thirds, like 1/3 Dio, 1/3 Sabbath, 1/3 Rainbow, that gives me a structure to work with. And I'd already been working on some of it. Probably the one I had spent the most time with before I started the record was Long Live Rock and Roll, the melody. I'd already been using that as a guitar lesson, teaching Ronnie's vocal melody to my students and also myself. These all starts, any lesson that I give to anybody else is a lesson for me first.
Right.
And so I'd been working on taking, because the notes themselves, relatively simple, but to breathe life into it, the way Ronnie does, is that's the trick. Is like, and how was it? You have to find it. It's not just magic. You can't just press the feeling button.
Yeah.
You have to do something. And so, as a teacher, I've got to sort out. Well, where are the slides? Where's the vibrato? What kind of vibrato? Like, what notes are short? What notes are long? Can I do a pick harmonic to shape that so it matches his vowel better?
Yeah.
All those things. And you hope as much of that will come as an instinct as possible. And the more you do it, the more it does become an instinct. That's really the goal. Because the goal is like, okay, I just pick up my guitar. I know what it sounds like. It comes out perfect first take. That's where you want to shoot for. But it's not. You can't begin there. So you start with like, okay, I've got this basic melody, and it sounds, when I play it, it sounds bad. When Ronnie sings it, it sounds glorious. What needs to be fixed? And you start building it that way. And so that was the melody I'd spent most time with, and I was starting to be happy with it. And so then, I picked out other songs. I had enough confidence where I thought, I think I might be able to handle this.
Yeah.
So I'd say I picked songs that I felt had a vocal line that I loved. And when I think about some of the ones that I didn't do that I almost did, for example, I love "Sign of the Southern Cross."
Yes.
From the Mob Rules album, but it's like really long, and it has like a long instrumental part, and I thought like I wanted, I like it, but I want to focus more on the vocals. So I'm gonna keep sort of the tighter songs. I didn't do "The Gates of Babylon" because I was just scared of it. the chord changes in the solo are so demanding. I thought like I'll do that in the next one. That's going to be too time consuming. I'm not ready for that one.
Do you sometimes at times like take a step back where you go like, okay, I've been playing these things for so long now, and every day I still learn something new? Like, does it amaze you that has not stopped at some point?
Well, that's a machine that I kind of always turn on, because otherwise I'm going to be bored.
Right.
And I think, and this is totally serious. I think if I didn't do that, I would have to start drinking. I would need something to challenge me. And so I would need to be like, well, I'm so out of it that the challenge is just to like function when I can't function. And so rather than that, I'd rather give myself a musical challenge that will help me grow in some way. And also, like I was thinking, the whole thing of like being quirky, I struggle. I don't know if I struggle with that. I never set out like, okay, I'm going to be quirky.
Right.
It wasn't a goal of mine. But I'm guessing this has become a therapy session now.
Hey, it's okay. If you want to put your feet up, I can play some soft music in the background.
I'm guessing that some of the reason that happens is it's almost me showing confidence.
Yeah.
Like I want to be so awesome that I can be quirky and it's still good.
I mean, it is in a way one of your least quirky albums. Now, is it also the most risky album in a way? Because there might be people that go like, well, he's just doing a covers album. Or even worse, oh, that sounds like a cash grab. It's not the same as, a 100% original album, if you will. So, and it's clear that you have this passion and that you want to really channel that, and this, you've taken this with extreme care. Does that at all, like, is there a voice in your back of your mind to go like, this might backfire, or do you not at all care?
I think if there was a voice in my head that said this might backfire, it just would happen in the process of making the record.
Yeah.
And something gets recorded and I listen to it and go like, oh no, we don't want that. so it's more just part of the process. Just as you go along, you have that constant editor going like, that's good, that's not, keep the good, out with the bad, and hopefully you have enough time to be happy with everything that's on there. I don't know whether it's a risk or not, but because I'm a fan of such a variety of musical stuff. I mean, there's music that I listen to that I know, when I'm listening to a Carpenter's album and really digging it, I know that people who, at the same time I can listen to Stand Up and Shout by Dio and totally dig that.
Right.
And not everybody, I don't know if everybody can do that. Like,
Sure.
I don't like everything. I mean, there's certain stuff I'll hear and go like, no thanks. And actually a lot of
the Humanizer songs.
Everybody's like that. Everybody has the stuff they like, the stuff they don't.
Yeah.
But you know, I think it had a lot that has just to do with my generation, what I grew up with, what was on the radio. You know, a lot of it's nostalgia, and you know, anybody who's lucky enough to become 56 years old and not, you know, survive, still be breathing air. You know, you're going to have the stuff that you grew up listening to, and it's going to have meaning to you, and not even because it's good, just because that was part of your life at some point. Long before our mothers bore us.
But if we make a U-turn from, you know, very, you know, iconic people inspiring yourself, whether it's, you know, singers or musicians, to other people that have inspired you over the years, do I remember correctly that one of my favorite songs, original songs that you've ever recorded a long time ago now, wow, is the Ballad of the Last Lions on Alligator Farm? Do I remember correctly that was written by an uncle of yours?
Yeah, it was written by my uncle. His name is Jimmy Kidd. And he's hugely influential on me, both his playing and when I was a kid, he was in cover bands, and he would record them and send me the cassettes of his band's gigs, and they were good quality recordings. They were from the soundboards, everything was clear, and I listened to those as much as I listened to Van Halen or Frank Marino or anything. Those were on my stereo all the time.
Yeah,
and he just had great vibrato, great phrasing, and you could do, you know, some cool burning licks too, and had you know, so his playing is, and plus genetically, you know, we're our bodies are similar, so you know, when I watch him play, I'll watch his hand. It's like, my hand kind of does that too. It does. Just we're kind of working with a lot of the same materials.
For anyone that doesn't see you play for a couple of years, there's always a wealth of new material that you've released, that I'm sure every time you play anywhere, whether it's a small workshop more or a bigger concert, people will come to your shows with a wish list that is 20 pages long, from both your solo and your band releases. When we look at this particular Dio album, which is really cool, and especially for all the people that love all those Dio classics, it's a great way to see them perform live again on a stage, which sadly we can't have with Dio anymore. Are we going to have that opportunity to see those Dio songs live, or when you are doing your next set of shows, you're coming to Toronto, or I'm calling you from Toronto, is it going to be more of a buffet of Paul Gilbert?
Well, I'll have to audition some rhythm guitar players, because the way those songs are arranged, or I think sound best, is there's rhythm guitar that's going full blast all the time, and there's the vocals, and a lot of the way that I've been arranging things lately is like how to make it work for guitar bass drums. And so when I'm playing the melody, the rhythm guitar drops out.
Right.
And that's, you know, you can make that work to a certain extent. But I think with this album, it kind of needs the wall of rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that would be like job one, is like, okay, who's going to do that? And I wish it was me, because I love those rhythm parts so much. It was such a blast to play those. So, you know, whoever it would be, I'd be looking over going like, hey, can we trade? You know, you play the vocal line.
That would be quite a surprise for the crowd coming to see Paul Gilbert.
I want to play this riff. It's such a good riff. So that's to me like the first challenge is like, you know, just how to make that decision. I mean, I'm obviously, if I'm the leader, I should probably be playing the vocal line, but I love those rhythm parts. They're so good.
you know, you've played some of the biggest arenas, you still play some of the biggest arenas in certain parts of the world, and then you play more workshops in an intimate setting. How different is it for you to play to a crowd that are predominantly aspiring shredders themselves versus just fans of the music, and you know, and everything in between? Like, is that a very different mindset for you to play different shows, or is that at the end of the day it's still Paul playing music?
Well, what you're trying to do is connect, and I don't think I had that clear of a philosophy at the beginning. I would feel it and hope for it, but I didn't really know that's what my goal was. You know, so I think as an early performer, you're just trying to do your best, and you're trying to prepare your best. And in a way, that's maybe, if I learned anything, it's that when you do a lot of preparation, you know, you think, well, it's got to be good, right? You know, you're prepared, you know what you're going to do, and you bring something that's fully formed on stage. But the only problem with that is that you can't build in, well, maybe you can build into it, but it's easy to forget that you want to connect with people.
Yeah.
And if you haven't built that into what you've prepared, it can almost create a barrier, because it's like, don't interrupt me while I do this thing, that's this perfect thing that I've polished.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't want to be distracted because I've built this perfect construction, and if I connect with you, it might mess me up.
Yeah.
Because I've got this structure, and I don't want to change anything about it because it's perfect. And so that's where having part of the show where you're able to connect is really nice, and that's scary because you can't plan what that's going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in a real general sense you can, but you know, you go out there and you look at people, you make eye contact, and you get a feel for what's going on with the audience, and you might have to be more flexible with what the music is, and as soon as you do that, you know, you gain one thing and you lose another, you know, because really one of the most powerful things is familiarity. You know, you play a song and people know, I know this one, and that's like the best thing. You know, I've felt it on both sides of it. I've been in the audience. I know this one. I know that feeling. I love it. For the performer, that can get kind of old because like, oh man, this one again. So the trick is to have that balance of like, you gotta have a certain amount of like familiar material, but it's also so nice to open it up and have some areas where you can be flexible and go like, okay, who's actually here tonight? and try to form a connection in that way. And that's more something you find in improvisational music, you know, in jazz or blues or like, you know, rock jamming, you know, that's where that comes into play. So I think either one, you know, they complement each other.
Paul, thank you so much. I wish I could, you know, ask you a million more questions, but I look forward seeing you go back on that stage and play more music, and then I hope that you will find some quality riff guitar players that when you just tell them to can take over the vocal line, so you can just have some fun on stage and play those riffs you want to play.
Right on.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best in this release cycle.
You too. Have a great time. Rock and roll.
Thank you. You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.